The royalty from the recycling and refuse facility. There we go. Well, let's call the commissioners' meeting to order here at 10 o'clock on February 27th. Those who are able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have pretty much full room this morning, but do we have any public for comment for items not appearing on today's agenda? All right. Seeing that we're mostly royalty from the recycling and refuse facility and the divas from the museums, we will move along. Any additions to the agenda from either commissioner? No? All right. Meeting minutes, changes needed? No?
We're good.
Take a motion then.
I'll move to approve the minutes from the meeting held February 20th.
I will second that.
We have motion and a second to approve the minutes from the meeting held on, the minutes from the meeting held on February 20th. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries. Well, we have an exciting proclamation this morning, proclamation number 8, proclaiming February 27th as Museum Advocacy Day in Center County. Many museums in Center County definitely improve the quality of life and allow opportunity for education and what the heck, just plain good old fun as well. We have 3 different groups here. We have Maria and Michelle from Discovery Space. We have Denise and possibly some crew from the Center County Library and Historical Museum. And Lori from the wonderful Bellefonte Art Museum. I think you've got a new opening on this Sunday, right? Yes, very good. So why don't we bring the groups up in order? So if it is Maria, right? Okay, Maria and Michelle could come up from Discovery Space and talk a little bit about both of your operations.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for amplifying the power of cultural organizations like the ones represented here in our county. I'm actually headed from here right down to DC for Museum Advocacy Day that's happening, and it's the energy is palpable. It's amazing there. At Discovery Space and the Rivet, we're a growing organization, as evidenced by our growing staff. We have Maria, who is new to our staff the last few months, and things are really good. And I think the point that I'd love to get across is the support that you give to all of our organizations now really lasts for generations. So in 20 years, possibly the next medical breakthrough, there will be a team member from Center County who happened to walk through our doors, right? Happened to get inspired about science or the way art and nature work together. And we're part of, maybe they'll be the next astronaut going to Mars, who knows? So I really appreciate all that you're doing and the work that's happening in this community to support our residents who live in Center County. And then, Discovery Space reaches 26 rural counties, so we are sort of spread out to the communities that don't have spaces like ours, so we can engage those children and families. So thanks.
Wonderful. Thanks, Michelle. Obviously, all 3 organizations here today benefit people from as soon as they can see anything until they can't see anything anymore. So thank you very much for your comments. We'll move on to Denise and crew from the Center County Library and Historical Museum. Lots of great hats over there. Thanks for loaning us some of yours.
Good morning, and I want to echo what Michelle said about the support that the commissioners give to the whole museum community in Center County. It really does make a difference, and I didn't know there was a Museum Advocacy Day in DC, so I learned something today, so how about that? I'm representing the Center County Library and Historical Museum, and joining me this morning is Carl Englesby, our board chair, Deborah Clayton, who is the Bellefonte Borough representative to our board. She's also serves as our secretary treasurer, and then Vicki Barnett is our Spring Township representative to the board, and she is a member at large. The Center County Library and Historical Museum began in 1939 when Anne Elmira Humes donated her house to the Borough of Bellefonte for the establishment of a library. So over the years, the museum part of our operation has really been kind of a side hustle for us, as our primary focus has always been on researching the history and retaining the history of Center County for those people who want to research their families, their houses. That has been our primary focus. But over the years, the museum part has evolved into a very unique and eclectic collection of some 70,000 items, reflecting the domestic, the agricultural, the military, the religious, the commercial aspects of Center County. And while I think it's very interesting, and I love going to all of the museums in Center County, and I learn so much when I do that. I think what's really important is how we all help and support each other to make these unique collections available to all of the residents of Center County and those who come back to Center County to learn more about us.
Great, thank you, Denise. 70,000 items.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And do want to mention that might not be obvious, all three museums have a lot to do with tourism in Center County. Your genealogical room attracts dozens of people every year who spend days in Bellefonte researching their ancestors and their connection to Center County.
One of the more interesting things that our research assistants or research library staff do is help people research the history of their houses. That's a huge interest for a lot of people when they move into the area, particularly in Bellefonte,
Yeah.
where we have all of those large mansions. But also down in Bollesburg and up in Phillipsburg, we have those county deed property deeds, which aren't really part of the museum collection, but
Yeah.
that's part of what draws people into our building. And then once they're there, they can see what else we have.
Wonderful. And now we'll have Lori from the Bellefonte Art Museum make a short presentation on their wonderful facility.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of our founding director, Patricia House, our board of directors, staff, and volunteers, I would like to thank the Center County Commissioners for your continued support and acknowledgement of Museum Advocacy Day, and for this unique opportunity to join with fellow museum professionals and supporters to speak up for the museums that we are so passionate about. The Bellefonte Art Museum has created a vibrant community for the arts with 3 floors, 7 galleries, a gift shop, 2 garden spaces. The museum serves families, artists, and patrons, all while making a positive social and economic impact on Happy Valley. We celebrate the human spirit through the arts and recognize the importance of art in our lives by featuring and promoting local artists and providing enrichment for individuals, families, and children. And just to expand on those 2 points, by supporting local and independent creatives, we are fostering community, stimulating the local economy, and validating the hard work and passion of each creator. Simply put, by supporting local arts, we are helping to keep alive the community that will inspire younger generations of artists, performers, and creatives. The museum provides a space for local artists to show and sell their work. On our 2024 exhibition schedule alone will feature work by 90 to 100 local artists over the course of this 1 year. Enrichment. Enrichment means the act of improving or enhancing the quality or value of something. Museums are staples of most cities and communities. They bring education, cultural immersion, and unity. Our 2024 exhibition schedule brings several unique art shows from near and far to enrich our community and highlight art from other places and cultures. We provide a way for you to discover new ways of seeing, experiencing, and connecting to yourself, others, and the broader world. We see the positive impact the museum has on our community, as I'm sure other museums being represented here today also see that positive impact. We see the impact by an increase in our membership, visitation, and scheduled tours. Our museum membership has increased 20% this past year, and our popular First Sunday receptions continue to see new and returning guests. We continually see guests visiting from over a 50-mile radius. In fact, just in 2024 alone, we've seen visitors from 11 different states, and that's just only 2 months. So what we are doing is making an impact, and it's why it's so important to sustain our museums for the future. We want to continue providing a place for visitors to learn about the past, pique their interest about the place they are visiting, and help shape future generations. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Lori. The commissioners are very excited to support our local museums and cultural attractions, both directly and indirectly through the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau Tourism Grant Program. But I've been doing most of the talking, so let me hand it over to Commissioner Concepcion.
Sure. Thank you all for being here today to highlight what the unique things that each of your institutions bring to our area. Having had a chance to explore all of these spaces, it's clear that even though they're very different, they're providing very different experiences, whether it's for children, seniors, anyone in between. The Center County Historical Museum is definitely someplace that anyone who's interested in the history of Center County should definitely go check out. There's not only records in terms of the homes and the spaces here in Center County, but the people and the families. I thought, having seen the folders that you have on individual families that have been here for generations, if you're interested, if you have a family that's been here for generations, there might be a folder there on your family with records on, the people who have come before. And then just all the kind of interesting, pieces of history in terms of whether it's clothing or housewares or some, military equipment or things that people have passed on. Really fascinating. So, and, I've certainly had lots of experience at Discovery Space with my kids and enjoyed being able to cooperate with Discovery Space and State College School District as well to bring those programs to students. And it's made a big impact on kids in our area to have that space to come learn. And, in Bellefonte Art Museum, we just are so fortunate to have something of that caliber here in downtown Bellefonte to bring, such talented art right into our community and in such a beautiful building, too. So, yeah, thanks to all of you for being here.
And I believe your parents are frequent flyers
They
at
are.
the
They're
Bellefonte Art
often
Museum.
bringing my kids there. I have kids who are very art inclined, and they are definitely frequently there with my parents, so.
Hand it over to Steve.
I was just thinking, there's art or museums in Aaronsburg, and there's museums in Phillipsburg, and everywhere in between. And I think we have a pretty strong representation of that in the area here today. But I think about all the opportunities that we've had over the years to really highlight local artists and local events and local history, and it's just it's amazing to me that we have such a synergy here in our county. Speaking of the Bellefonte Art, I was just down there a couple of weeks ago when Kevin Riley had his photography exhibit. I pretty much grew up in the Bellefonte library system. It's just amazing, and I would be remiss if I didn't say we have a marquee museum coming into our community here later on this spring with the new Palmer.
Yep.
And that's going to be another opportunity to celebrate art and so much about our community, not to mention the incredible investment that Penn State put into that. And it's really going to be a tourist
Oh,
attraction.
yeah.
But it just makes us richer. It's a lot of fun, and quite frankly, it highlights our heritage in a way that very few other things can. And I was sitting here and I was thinking, what's the last like the Milesburg museum down there? It's like it's like a little thing. It's down there, but it makes the town real, and it makes our area real, and that's what this is all about. And whether you're learning new skills or whether you're researching your genealogy or just celebrating the arts, we are rich in museum heritage. And I think, Lori, to your point, I think we'll be good well into the future, because there's certainly a lot of momentum and enthusiasm for it. So I think we'll be celebrating museums for a long, long time. So congratulations, and we'll continue to support you and make sure that you have the resources you need to be successful. So good luck.
And the commissioners would like to thank the dozens of other museum and cultural attractions that were not able to make it here today. But I'm guessing we're going to have an enthusiastic motion here for the proclamation.
Yes, so I will enthusiastically move to adopt Proclamation 8 of 2024, proclaiming February 27th, 2024 as Museum Advocacy Day in Center County.
I will second that, with the understanding that if we do this again and we invite everybody, we're going to have to get a bigger room.
Yeah, we need a bigger room. All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt proclamation number 8, proclaiming February 27th as Museum Advocacy Day in Center County. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great, thanks, everyone. We'll move on to a resolution involving Center County recycling. I believe Mimi Cooper is here. Oh, and Joanne Schaefer for the presentation.
Yeah, it's going to be and from here on out.
All right.
So thank you for doing this today. I want to take the opportunity upon my retirement to reflect for a moment. Steve, you mentioned that our folks were in your neighborhood this morning.
Oh, wait, we need to pause. I didn't give out the proclamation.
Oh,
Somebody should have elbowed me in the ribs.
Yes, we almost,
All right,
almost
quick
forgot.
pause. Quick
I'll
pause.
wait.
Let's bring all the groups up.
Okay, let's get, yeah.
Yeah.
We took the time to acknowledge them, now we have to
Yeah.
celebrate.
So come on up, everybody. If Michelle maybe
All the
can
museum
first.
folks,
All
come
the
on up.
museum folks. Plenty of room here in front of the historic.
Plenty of room everywhere. Thanks, Michelle. I will come up, I'll make it up this.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard. Well done. Good seeing you again. Congratulations. You're probably still glowing from the other week or so ago. How you doing? Hi, Vicki. Thank you. Might have to squeeze in a
Yeah,
little
let's
tighter to keep
Move
this
this
all,
way a
if
pin. There we are.
we can get it.
Can you-
Can you get everybody in there?
Great.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming
You're
in.
welcome. Thanks.
Take care. Thanks.
All right.
sorry about
now,
that.
No, that was mine.
So-
So now back to the royalty from recycling.
Well, just to let you know that my first commissioners meeting, I was tasked by John Saylor to always keep things moving. So that was my jumping up. So I know that you have all met Mim in the past and for past things. But I want to personally thank you all on behalf of both me and the authority for all of the commissioners' support over the last 33 and a half years. For me, I had an interesting experience a couple of weeks ago when I had a little test up at Mount Nittany, and the technician whose daughter had just been out for a tour with Amy, who is in the 5th grade, recognized my voice, and she said, "Oh my, I do believe that you took me on a tour when I was in the 5th grade." So we're now well into second generation of recycling here in Center County. So according to the delegation agreement, by the way, the delegation agreement that our authority has with Center County Commissioners is the longest standing delegation agreement in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, that the authority does the duties essentially of the county for grant purposes and planning purposes and all kinds of other things. So because we are eligible for a Section 903 grant, which is recycling coordinators, expenses and salaries, my departure is the 29th of this month. Yes, I'm making the leap on Leap Day. So I would humbly ask you all to please appoint Mimi Cooper as the Center County Recycling Coordinator effective March 1st. I'm happy to let Mimi answer any questions that you might have.
All right. So, Mimi, if we don't appoint you, does Joanne have to stay?
I know where she lives. So while I can't guarantee you 33 and a half years because I'm of a certain age, I can say I have had a tremendous mentor in Joanne. Not only the last 9 years that I've been at the authority, but prior to that, I was at the Center Region Council of Governments in the Refuse and Recycling Administration, the grant or the refuse contract. She's been nothing short of amazing. Opened doors for me, has introduced me to so many people in the industry, so many people with DEP. We've had a very honored past of being at the White House together with my son and his elementary team that got the Presidential Youth Environment Award, Green Schools. So I can vow to you that I will continue educating all of the residents of the county, from the 5-year-olds and the preschools that come through to the OLLI groups that come for tours, and the importance of that as we move forward with a lot of the municipalities considering their climate action goals and where we go from here. So there's still a lot of work to be done, and I do know where she lives.
By the way, I live in an 1860s house in Lamont, so I will be over to research that.
Good. Well, why don't both of you stay up there for a second, and we will adopt resolution number 4 of 2024.
I will move to adopt Resolution 4 of 2024.
I will second that with a question, though. You start on the 1st, and you end on the 28th. Does that mean?
29th.
Or 29th, okay, I thought you said 28th. I was thinking there was gonna be one day in there we would not have a
Making
coordinator.
sure we recovered every
All
4
right,
years.
all right, I feel much better, okay, good.
All right,
right,
so
we're
you'll
good.
second it then?
Yeah,
Okay,
second it,
all right.
sure.
All those in favor of adopting resolution number 4 of 2024, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay, motion carries. Oh, look, we have something else up here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so Joanne, the commissioners have a surprise for you.
Uh-oh.
A certificate of recognition for appreciation and thanks
Thank
of
you
your
so
33
much.
years here in Center County. We'll move the chair over. And if you'll center yourself on Bellefonte.
Thank you.
There we are.
All right. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you for your work. Thanks for all that time.
Thank you.
I'll make sure you get it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to say a little bit more, we have extra mics.
Oh, I'm good, thank you. So I've been around since
Oh,
1980.
in front of the mic.
Oh,
Yep.
just for, essentially for the group.
Yeah.
I'm staying right here in Center County.
Oh, very good, very good.
Thank you for all your years of service
Yes.
and getting this thing kicked off.
Thanks to the Recycling and Refuse Authority for making it possible for her to be here to receive that certificate.
So we had the longest standing
Yeah.
recycling agreement in the state.
You do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
we
to know.
Are, we
Yeah,
are on
Center
the
County,
cutting
we're
edge.
leaders on that issue.
A lot of different things. All right, now we'll move on to a large item, the Center Crest building renovation contract awards, and I'll hand it over to John.
Morning, Commissioners. As you know, we had issued a notice of intent to award to the 4 primes at a previous meeting, and we've been working on paperwork in the interim, and we are now before you seeking approval of the formal AIA contracts for the 4 primes for general trades, HVAC, plumbing, and electrical. Next steps then would be that Mazzaro, who is our construction manager, would issue a notice to proceed to the primes, and we would then start with putting security fencing around the property and getting the job ready for first steps that would be abatement and demolition. But before you today, we are seeking approval of the contracts for the 4 prime contractors.
Well, that's fabulous to hear, John. It's been a long process, but we've reached the point where we have all 4 primes lined up. Projects came in at bid or slightly, at estimate or slightly under estimate. It'll be confusing for a little while because it's probably eventually possibly going to be called the Center County Human Services Building, but right now we're calling it Center Crest, which was the old name for the nursing home, and the county's not in the nursing home business anymore.
Center Crest Building.
Yes.
Well, you're covered.
So thanks again for all of your hard work, the work of the architect, construction management, all the firms that bid on the project, and Center Region Code, Bellefonte Borough for their assistance. Hundreds and hundreds of people have already worked on it so far. I'll hand it over to Commissioner Concepcion for any more comments.
Yeah, this has been a long time coming. I think, for the benefit of the public who are watching the meeting, to understand that this is going to provide this centralized space for all of our human services departments to be together in one building that has been purpose-built for those purposes, for being able to serve those who are often some of our most vulnerable populations who are coming into the county seeking services, that we will have spaces that are built for privacy and for, to be able to best meet their needs when they're coming in to visit the professionals in our buildings. We'll also have space there for elections, which will really, I think, improve the flow of the work in the elections office, especially on those very busy election days when there's, all the judges of elections coming in and out of the building, dropping off things, that we'll have a space that's been purpose-built also for elections and have more storage space and space for the public coming in and out, as well as a number of other opportunities there, including for human service agencies in our community who need rental space that would benefit from being co-located near Center County Human Services to consider locating in that area. So, yeah, it's exciting to see this moving forward. I think it's going to be really good for the folks in our community who are coming in and taking advantage of the services that we provide here in Center County.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
And we'll be keeping the space for the commercial kitchen.
That's right.
We'll be able to provide those services as well. So it's going to be a neat building. Hopefully, everything will go smoothly moving forward, so.
Good, and I think, but the only thing that we may have forgotten to mention is the Bellefonte Senior Center.
That's
Will
right.
also be moving to larger space in the building. The handicap accessibility will also be better because the land's relatively flat there,
And easy parking.
and lots of easy parking right by the door. So possibly adjusting for inflation, the second largest construction project after the correctional facility the county's done in decades. Any questions from the press on that?
I can wait till the end.
Oh, all right. Okay. Well, unless there's anything else, it looks like we could take a motion to approve the contracts.
I will move to approve the AIA contracts with the 4 prime contractors as presented on the agenda.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the American Institute of Architect contracts with the 4 prime contractors as presented. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, we'll move forward now with an agreement for a lawsuit regarding elections. I believe John's handling that.
Yes, so before you is an agreement with Babs Kellen. As you know, Babs Kellen provides solicitation services for the county, and they are proposing to undertake a joint representation of multiple counties who are party to the litigation. So it would basically be a cost-sharing of services as opposed to trying to address the issue, the county to address it on its own. So we'd be joining in with Bedford Carbon Center, ourselves, Huntington, Indiana, Lawrence, Monroe, and Northumberland.
All right, we're glad to hear we're able to split these costs 8 different ways. Commissioner Concepcion, anything?
Yeah, no, I don't have any questions at this time.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
I think all 67 counties are listed as defendants, correct?
I believe so.
And I believe there's potentially some who were named. I don't know if we were necessarily named
Yeah.
directly in that lawsuit.
Not in this one, no.
Okay, all right. So hopefully, especially we split it 8 ways, it won't hopefully come to too much funds. Unless there's anything else, we'll take a motion to approve the agreement.
I'll move to approve the agreement with Babst, Callen, Clements, and Zomnier PC.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agreement with Babs Calland, Clements, and Zomnier. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks. And then Chris has, are you doing all 4 items, Chris, or just a couple of them?
All of them.
All right, Chris.
Okay.
Chris has 4 different items, probably involving land development and land development MOUs for multiple different projects here in Center County.
I am. Thank you very much and good morning. Before I get into the developments that are going to be presented today, just a real quick reminder about what a memorandum of understanding is in relation to these projects. And I use the term MOU for short. The MOUs that are being presented today are a 3-party agreement between the township, the developer, and the county. And that's whereby the developer agrees to reimburse the municipality for the costs associated with the municipality's engineers processing, reviewing, inspecting, and approving the engineering details of the plan. It's just simply an agreement to repay the costs. It's not an approval by the board of the plan itself. It's approval of the contract for the municipality to recoup engineers' costs of reviewing the plan. So
Yes.
with, yep. So with that being said, there are a number of MOUs being presented today. The first one is what's called Mingoville 1 and 2 solar arrays. While it's a single property owner, there are two separate agreements with the Mingoville 1 and Mingoville 2. And to give a sense of where this is located, it's on the south side of State Route 64. This is the municipal line between Spring and Walker Township. And I don't know if it's still in existence, but a while ago, this was the old driving range, and it may still be in use.
It was there at least a couple of years ago, yeah.
And so it's right across the road from the old driving range, and it's owned by the Hanchar Farm. What they're proposing is a 2 and 3 megawatt solar facility, and the plan has been prepared by Langen Engineering, shows an access road coming off of State Route 64. And this is Mingoville 1, it's proposing a 2 megawatt array, and then a separate arrangement with the property owner is a Mingoville 2, and it's a 3 megawatt facility. And so that's what's being proposed for the first plan. There's two MOUs for this one for Mingoville 1 and one for Mingoville 2. And as I move to the next slide, and if the board has any questions about this particular one, I can answer them now, or we can wait till the end.
Well, I think just for size comparison, I believe the solar array up the correctional facility is something like 1.7 megawatts, so that one will probably be roughly in the same size range. Also, I wanted to make a Buck Rogers comment, but I don't know if there anybody in the room even recognizes what that cartoon will be.
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
The next MOU is a similar solar farm facility, and it's located right to the east. This is the property that was just discussed. And right to the east is two tracts of land, one owned by 234 Shady Farm, LLC, and another property that's owned by the Crate family. And this proposal is for a single array, and it's being proposed as being 12 megawatt. And this is the proposal that was prepared by TRC companies, and they're going to be coming in off of Zion Back Road, Wilson Farm Lane, then heading to the west and coming down and using a part of Shady Farm and accessing the two separate solar arrays for a combined megawatt of 12. The next MOU, and this is going to be switching gears a little bit, this is also a land development plan, but this is in Benner Township, and it's just down the street from where we're located. This is in the Penn Eagle Industrial Park, and this is the ResTech facility. And if you keep going to the left, you're going to hit the intersection with Benner Pike and the Sheets. And so there's an existing Sullivan's mini storage facility that has a number of existing buildings already, and they're proposing Phase 8, which is going to be the last phase, and they're proposing 3 buildings, buildings 9, 10, and 11. And then the final MOU is going to be a subdivision plan, and this is also out in Walker Township. This is what's called Phase 4 of the Deer Haven subdivision, and this is for 27 residential lots. There's been a number of phases that have already been approved, and this just gives an example of where this is located. One way to get there is going to the west and breaking off into Zion Back Road, or you can come up to the township building and their facilities and go down Zion Back Road and get to the Deer Haven subdivision. What's highlighted in green are the existing phases, and in the overall Deer Haven subdivision, there's 184 residential lots. So far, there have been 82 approved, and this one is proposing 27, highlighted in orange. And this is just a close-up view of the 27 residential lots. They're going to be extending Deer Haven Road with a temporary cul-de-sac, and they're going to start construction of a new road called Velvet Lane, and those are all the single-family lots with hydrants being proposed as well. The areas in gray, except for the circles, are going to be built to public standard and offered to the township as township streets. And I believe that is the end of the MOUs that are being discussed and presented today.
Well, that's quite a number of projects, Chris.
Indeed.
Any comments, Commissioner Concepcion?
So with the solar arrays, those will attach to the grid, they're not for individual use.
Correct.
They're grid solar.
Yes, they have to go through the PJM to get their approvals to tie into the grid.
Got it.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
I have to at least comment, and I know I'm a big proponent of property owner rights, but it seems like we are knocking a lot of farmland off the map to provide solar arrays. And I just need to say that because it's concerning to me that one hand, we're working to preserve farmland, and the other hand, we're...
But at least it's still there. It's, the array has a lifespan, and then
I got
Yeah.
that. I just find
Yeah.
a certain irony in
It's a
the
little-
conversation.
less of an
That's about
impact
it.
than building a strip mall. So,
And I
yeah.
don't know if it's proposed for these projects, but there are a few limited types of agriculture that can coexist with a solar array, like grazing and things of that nature. So, got Chris, two solar projects, an extension for storage and an extension of a subdivision. Quite a lot compared to the usual. And who was the construction firm for the first solar array? Started with an L, I think.
Well, the engineering firm that prepared it is Langen. The project firm that's helping to prepare it is called ENGIE, and there's a couple representatives from ENGIE in the audience today. They're based out of Chicago.
All right. But the other project has a different engineering firm?
That's
and it's
correct.
different management, et cetera?
Yes,
All right.
that is TRC companies out of Dixon City in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But I think the developer is out of New Jersey.
All right. Okay. Any questions from the press on any of the four projects?
Is this tied to the solar purchasing agreement proposed?
Good question. These particular solar arrays are not. The firm that's preparing the Shady Farm is also working on the purchase power agreement. We have not seen those plans yet, but they are working on them. Those are further to the east of these proposals in Walker Township.
To Mr. Dershowitz issue, how much acreage are we talking?
The overall developed acreage for Shady Farm is approximately, the two properties, the Crepe property is a total of 140 acres. The total property of 234 Shady Farm is 114, but I think it's about approximately 70 acres that are going to be used for the solar array. That's not an exact number. I had to do some measuring with the ruler, but that's about what there's an area of disturbance, but that's not the area that's going to be comprised for the solar array. So it's about 70 acres, give or take.
Will there be any further review from the Center Region Planning Office for this project? Or is you folks, I know you're doing the, but is there any further review down the road you might be taking a look at?
The Center Region Planning Commission,
I mean, the Center County.
these plans are being brought before the Center County Planning Commission at the March's meeting.
Great, good question. Any other questions from the press on these four projects? No? All right. So unless there's any other questions, we'll take a motion to approve the contracts and MOUs.
Okay. Then I'll add the planning and community development items 1 through 4 to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to add the planning and community development items 1 through 4 to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries. Great, thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
Thanks for getting us through four projects very quickly. Now I believe Chad from IT has a couple of different items for us.
Good morning. First one I have is a consideration of a contract with Top Business Solution to provide e-gold fax services. So this would be an e-fax solution for county departments. So it would allow departments who do faxing to be able to kind of step away from the traditional multifunction device and be able to send faxes wherever they're at through a secure email. They can also receive faxes that way, so it'll allow departments to set up things like distribution groups, so everyone in the department can see faxes as they come in to take care of time-sensitive stuff. It has a high level of security, has end-to-end encryption throughout the process, so it meets regulatory compliance requirements such as PCI and HIPAA. The product itself resides on Azure GovCloud, so it meets CGIS requirements as well. So the contract I have worded is not to exceed $10,000, and it would start March 10th, 2024, and go to March 9th, 2025. The plan is to start with 4 departments, having a not to exceed on the contract would allow for a scalability for other departments to adopt into an eFax solution as they're able to. And just kind of give some scale of faxing within the county. We send and receive somewhere over 10,000 pages a month coming in and out of all the county offices.
And I saw some quizzical looks on some of the younger people in the room. Faxes, what? But I did check into it, and a number of state agencies still require a lot of official communication to be by, yes, fax.
Yep.
So we still have to do that.
And so this allows some flexibility for departments, like I said, to send and receive the faxes that they need to do.
Commissioner Concepcion, any questions? Commissioner Dershowitz?
Good.
All right.
I'll move to add the contract with Top Business Solutions to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Top Business Solutions for next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. And then Chad has a contract involving sign language.
Yes, so this is, we tabled this from last week, so it's a contract consideration with sign language specialists of Western PA to provide interpreter services when requested during public meetings. The rate would be $72 an hour with a 2-hour minimum. I did talk to the company again. They do also provide Zoom options. And so for meetings set up, something similar to this where Zoom can be projected on a board, they do have the ability to do that as well as be in person if requested.
Great, good,
Okay.
good. All right, glad we got that taken care of as well. Any questions from either commissioner? No?
I'll move to approve the contract with Sign Language Specialist of Western PA Incorporated.
I will second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Sign Language Specialists of Western PA, Inc. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries. Great, thanks, Chad.
Thank you.
Now Natalie has an item where the commissioners were going to assist with a federal grant, but it looks like maybe we won't need to do that.
Yes, so I'm actually going to ask the board to table this item. We got some information very late after the posting of the agenda that DCD, through ARC, the Appalachian Regional Commission, is updating their guidelines, and nonprofit entities are going to be able to apply directly for this power grant. The previous regulations have been a government entity needs to be the applicant, and so we were offering our assistance to Clearwater to be the applicant, along with the work that they do with Delta Development Group. But however, because they can be directly the applicant, they are going to look to proceed in that direction. And so we just need to table this. If any of those regulations would change, obviously, we would then look to come back if we would need to discuss further about our ability to be there, the actual applicant.
Great. Any questions, Commissioner Concepcion, Commissioner Dershowitz? No? All right, we'll take a motion to table the letter of intent.
I will move to table the letter of intent for Clearwater Conservancy.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to table the letter of intent for Clearwater Conservancy. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay, motion carries.
Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Thanks, Natalie. Now we have an item for transportation. Very patient Dave Lamason.
Good morning, thank you. Just a brief background. Our Transportation Department is contracted with the Susquehanna Regional Transportation Authority that is managed by Rabbit Transit. And it's for trips through the Geisinger Managed Care Organization, GHP plan, that people have that don't have the other medical assistance type services. And it's for trips that could be for work, for grocery, or for whatever necessary, that the SRTA sends us the trips, and we indeed then provide them. And what I'm asking for today is a contract amendment that we've submitted with the authority regarding the complaint handling procedures to bring us in line with all other agencies that contract with them. It's just a language in the contract that allows the people, should they have a complaint, on how to proceed with that. And it would be for the period of March 12th of 2024 through August 31st of 2025. That's concurrent with the contract we currently have with them.
Oh, great. Thanks for explaining that. Dave, any questions from either commissioner on this one? No?
I'll move that to add the contract amendment with the Susquehanna Regional Transportation Authority to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
We have motion and a second to add the contract agreement with the Susquehanna Regional Transportation Authority to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you very much.
All right, we then have an item for, let's make sure I'm in the right spot here.
Should be aging.
I think it's aging?
Yes.
Yes.
It is. Good morning. So I'd like you to consider approval of a grant renewal with the Department of Human Services and the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services. So this looks surprisingly like a contract I was here, or an agreement a couple weeks ago. This is, the situation is that the state had an issue with sending us the 23-24 agreement. You signed the 24-25 agreement a couple of weeks ago. So this is just catching up with some paperwork. They've already given us the $18,408. They just realized at that time that they didn't have the signature page. So we aren't sure what happened in that. We didn't receive it, but we going back and backdating it and making the agreement whole is what we're asking for you to do today.
All right. Sounds like maybe something that new fax software might assist with.
Maybe.
Any question for the commissioner on this one? No? All right, take a motion.
I will move to add the grant renewal with the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to add the grant renewal with the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Julia. And then we've got Kathy out in the hallway with a couple items for the Super Department, Mental Health, Intellectual Disability, Early Intervention, Drug, and Alcohol.
Good morning. I'm good. With the board's approval, we're going to take each of those these items separately because they are vastly different in their scope. The first item is a draft expenditure report for the use of the opiate settlement funds that the county has received from August 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2023. And it is through the submission of this draft expenditure report that we will be requesting a 6-month extension in the spending of the funds from the first 2 payments that were received. And we will be requesting that with the submission of this report. The total funds that have been received to date total $294,671.96 for that same time period. So what this draft report does is the draft report is due this month, and then the final report is due to the Pennsylvania Opioid Trust March 15th. And the report will cover the time period 9/1/22 through December 31st, 2023. And then going forward, we will have to submit a report annually for how the funds are used that are received each year. So far, Center County has received 3 payments from the opioid settlement trust, and that is a result of 3 settlements that have occurred so far. I believe, excuse me, that there are additional settlements in the works, so there may be some additional money coming. Each settlement is for a different time span, so the dollar amounts from each settlement are just a little bit different, but the opioid settlement trust intends to disperse them in the same manner, that they will be over a set period of time. The funds will be received each year at the end of the year, and that the counties or the jurisdiction that receives those funds will have to report into the trust how those dollars are being used. Center County has been incredibly thoughtful in its intent on how it plans to use the opioid settlement funds. It is certainly our intention to make the best use of those funds to support individuals who have an opiate use disorder. But at the same time, we want to be respectful and supportive of individuals with other diagnoses who have substance use disorders and make sure that their needs are met as well, as we provide services and supports to those individuals. So we're making sure that funds are also available to those individuals as we make these services available. So some of the ideas and proposed activities that are identified in the draft report includes looking at transportation issues for individuals, whether they be going to treatment, to court requirements, to case management requirements, and other appointments. Again, we would use opiate settlement funds for individuals who have an opiate use disorder or a history of opiate use disorder, and looking to identify grant funds or other drug and alcohol funds for other individuals who have opiate or other substance use disorders, so that all of those individuals are able to access the services that they need. We would be looking at services and funds to support our sober living house in State College, funds for apps and resources for our treatment courts. We would be looking at funds to support detox services and other program needs in that area. We would be looking at translation services, language line contracts, those support services for individuals when they're receiving treatment and other case management services. We would be looking at support services for students who are going through our student assistance programs, and looking at options to increase community awareness of the available of Narcan, reducing stigma, the distribution of Narcan, and awareness around the community, our Good Samaritan laws. When we look at proposed activities in the future, we look at the use of medication-assisted treatment at the jail. Right now, the jail has a grant that is funding those activities, but we always want to be prepared for a time when the jail may not have grant funds to do that. And so we're always anticipating that we may need to look at the opiate settlement funds for supporting those activities, continuing those activities. And we're also looking at the Hope Coalition and the work that the coalition is doing, and how the opiate settlement funds may be able to support those activities going forward. So the use of the opiate settlement funds is always a moving and changing project. And so as initiatives come up and raise in importance, we want to have the flexibility to adjust our plan and prioritize the things that come up. And so fortunately, the trust has afforded us that luxury of making those adjustments. And so the report is divided into 3 areas: those areas where we have spent the funds, those areas where we have made commitments, and future planning. And so that's what we have done with the report. At this point, we have not spent funds, but we have identified areas where we can move quickly and made some commitments, and want to move forward in the next few months. or during the extension period, and then those areas where we're doing some planning and making some efforts. And so that's what we've put together. And again, we're going to be asking the board to approve this draft report so that it can be finalized and submitted for the March 15th deadline. Request an extension for the August 31st payment that was received in 2022, and an extension for the 12/30/22 payment as well. And then we have plenty of time for the third payment that was received just the end of December.
Great, thanks, Kathy. The commissioners would like to thank your staff and all of your partner agencies and the Hope Coalition for doing a great job. Kind of knock on wood here, Center County consistently has one of the lowest death rates per 100,000 population in the Commonwealth from overdoses, and we would like to continue to be in that select group.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Concepcion, any comments?
Yeah, I'm glad you're looking at transportation as one of the possible needs that this money could go towards fulfilling, because I know that's been a concern that's been raised.
Yes. And again, with the flexibility, if that need rises to a higher level, we can adjust how much funding we're applying in that area as well.
Thanks.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
Well, I think also supporting the drug court is an important factor here. I think that's a life-changing opportunity for a lot of folks in our community that are caught with substance abuse disorder. So I think overall, I'm always amazed whenever, these are big numbers and they're spread out throughout the whole country, but the number of projects that we're actually allowed to invest in is so finite and so defined that I wish we had a little bit more flexibility in our ability to distribute these funds, but we'll work with what we have and make some good out of it. And thank you for all your help and hard work.
Great. Any questions from the press on this topic?
Do you have even a ballpark figure, any idea how much the county will eventually receive, or you still don't know?
Roughly, the total that we've received over the past three payments was just short of $300,000. At this point, we expect annually, right now, probably about $120,000 will be coming in each year. But how long that continues and the amounts may vary from year to year, and what the new settlements might be continues to change. I don't think we'll ever quite know exactly what those numbers will be. But we intend to maximize the funds that we do receive. We consider these opportunities and we'll utilize them as they come.
Unless there's anything else, we'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve the draft expenditure report for the use of opiate settlement funds.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the draft expenditure report for the use of opiate settlement funds, do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay, motion carries. All right, Kathy, and I think you have a contract addendum as well.
Yes. The second item is to consider approval of a contract addendum with Elizabeth Beckman Nemitz to allow for funds to provide additional early intervention services. The service provider's contract maximum excuse me, will increase from $11,000 to $31,000. This contract total is $31,000 funded by state and county dollars. The county matches $3,100. And this is for the time period July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Our numbers in early intervention continue to be pretty steady, and Ms. Beckman-Nemitz has really helped us out by bringing on some additional evaluators, which helps us maintain our compliance in terms of how quickly we are seeing children who are identified for early intervention services. And since they are seeing more children for us, we want to increase their contract in order to make those payments and get those kids seen as quickly as possible.
Great. Remember, it's generally for children under the age of 5.
Actually, 0 to 3.
0 to 3.
Is birth to 3 are the ages that we're seeing them, and then we pass them to the IU for continued services up to the age of 5.
Great. Yeah, some of our best human services spend. If we can help a toddler reach developmental milestones closer to on time, that continues throughout the rest of their life.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Concepcion, any questions?
Yeah, I was just going to ask what professional services Elizabeth Beckman-Nemens provides, but it sounds like it's essentially the evaluations that are.
Primarily that initial evaluation that confirms eligibility and gets them started in early intervention services.
Commissioner Dershowitz?
All good to go.
Thank you. Take a motion then.
I will move to add the contract addendum with Elizabeth Beckman-Nemens to next week's consent agenda.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion to add the contract addendum with Elizabeth Beckman-Nemens to next week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Great. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
All right, now we have a letter of support. Is Sabine out in the hallway or? No? All right. Is that something maybe Natalie could handle a little bit? I know you're kind of working multiple jobs for us at this point in terms of letters of support, grants, and all of your other duties on top of. No? All right, I'll take care of it.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I thought during
Yeah.
agenda review, that's
Aaron
what
can
we
probably.
All right, we'll have Aaron handle it then. Yeah.
No, but you received, you spoke with Sabine, right?
Yeah, she said she was gonna be here to talk about it,
Well, I think I get the gist of
Yeah.
what we're doing
Yeah,
here.
she's applying for a USDA Rural Development Business Grant to help develop ag processing and retail options for local farmers. I believe in the Pine Grove Mills area of Ferguson Township is the very, very brief summary.
Yeah, and building a commercial kitchen, I understand, for.
Yes.
So that farmers can have a space to do preserving and,
Mhm.
yeah.
And we are just basically endorsing the project and giving them a letter of support.
Yep, so basically support for local farmers then.
Yeah.
All right, it looks like we can take a motion
I
then.
will move to approve the letter of support for Center Kitchen Collective.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the letter of support for Center Kitchen Collective. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll move on to John with a letter of support for CATA.
Yes, Center Area Transportation Authority, CATA, is pursuing a 2024 Rebuilding America Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity, which the acronym is RAISE, planning grant application for a system-wide transit stop safety and ADA accessibility study. So they are asking for the commissioners to provide a letter of support in that regard.
All right. Any questions from the commissioners on that? No? All right, we'll take a motion then.
I will move to approve the letter of support for CATA.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the letter of support for CATA. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, we have a medium-sized consent agenda. Unless there's anything on that, we'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve this week's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to approve this week's consent agenda. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
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 Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. Move on to CNET requests, something involving the spelling bee.
Yes, so this is the request relative to the annual Ron and Mary Maxwell Community Spelling Bee, which will be held on September 25th, 2024. The county typically will sponsor the CNET broadcasting of the event.
All right, and the commissioners don't need to actually participate, I hope.
No.
Because I'm not a very good speller.
We would get our doors blown off by these kids.
Oh, I'm very sure we would.
I think I can take it on.
All right, well, Steve and I will demur. All right, we'll take a motion then.
I'll move to approve the CNET sponsorship for the 2024 Ron and Mary Maxwell Community Spelling Bee.
I will second that. It's a great event.
Yes.
I'm very happy that we do support that.
Very good. So we have a motion to approve CNET support, CNET sponsorship for the 2024 Ron and Mary Maxwell Community Spelling Bee. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, we've got a check run. Commissioner Concepcion will cover that.
Yeah, so the check that I'd like to highlight in today's check run is to Habitat for Humanity. It's a pretty sizable check because Habitat for Humanity is helping to implement the whole home repair program for Center County. And with that, I would like to move to approve the check run dated February 23rd, 2024.
I will second that.
We have a motion, a second, to approve the check run dated February 23rd of 2024. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And John, hopefully no administrators report this morning?
Nothing to report.
Okay. We'll move back to Commissioner Concepcion for voters registration.
Okay, so today's voter registration report includes 100,755 registered voters in Center County. That is down 33 from last week's report. Of those, Democratic voters comprise 42,194, Green Party 139, Libertarian Party 600, no affiliation is 13,846 voters, and the Republican Party has 40,935 voters. And then with all others, that is 3,041 voters in these minor parties, and that makes up the total of 100,755. This week's political party of the week is the Bipartisan Party, but they only have one registered voter in Center County. Our precinct of the week is Precinct 47 in Ferguson North. They vote at the Ferguson Township Building at 3147 Research Drive in Ferguson Township. There are 1,719 registered voters in Precinct 47, and at the last election, 880 ballots were cast, making up a voter turnout of 51%, which is fairly decent for a municipal year election, but hopefully we'll see much greater turnout this year. And we'd like to thank Ferguson Township for the use of that building. And that's the voter registration report.
Great, thanks, Amber. Under announcements, the Board of Commissioners meeting on Tuesday, March 5th, as well as the Combined Salary Board Board of Commissioners meeting on March 7th have been canceled. John, do we have any executive sessions to report or hold?
No executive sessions to report or hold.
All right, and the remainder of our public meeting schedule, on Thursday, we have a Finance Committee meeting at 9, a Combined Board of Commissioners and Salary Board meeting at 10, and a Board of Elections meeting at 1. And then a couple Tuesdays from now on the 12th, we have the Board of Commissioners meeting at 10, followed by a work session at 11. Now for the part, Gary's been waiting for press questions.
John, with the bids this morning with the Centercrest building, is the construction schedule still on track, or does it have any impact on construction?
No, we're still on track from the last time. Obviously, it has adjusted a little bit over the course of the planning for the project, so we have extended a little bit, but we're still planning on having occupancy by July 1 of 2025.
Do you have any idea, better idea of how much space might be available if the county decides to lease space?
There are at least 3 large areas, 2 or 3 large areas that are available for lease, and then there is also the commercial kitchen, which we are currently negotiating potential restructuring of an existing contract with a mill provider. So we're working on that right now. The other spaces, the human services agencies that are planning to move into that area are keeping their ear to the ground for any potential providers that they work with that would be a nice fit for the facility and the other agencies that are in there.
That's all I have, thank you.
Anyone else?
I don't have any.
All right. Okay, unless there's anything else for the good of the order, we can take a motion to adjourn at 11:08.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn at 11:08. All those in favor do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are adjourned. And I